Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel here today, guys. And what we are going to be doing in today's video is taking a very close look at these all-important 4 huge remaining games at Barça, and in particular, the players who are going to be playing for their future, one way or another, looking ahead to next season and looking at the different situations of each of them in some capacity. These final games, they are going to decide a lot. And of course, technically here, the video says 5 players, but I have added a few more as well, because there is plenty to play for in these final weeks of the campaign. So let's get into it. But if we do, begin first and foremost with Memphis Depay. And this, of course, is somebody we have been discussing a lot recently after that promising display against Mallorca. And of course, we are talking about him because come the summer transfer window, he's going to be entering the final year of his contract. And as we've discussed, one way or another, Barça will need to make a decision. Now, of course, before that Mallorca game, I think the rumours surrounding Memphis' future were really starting to ramp up. There were real doubts starting to emerge about whether he'd still be a Barca player come next season. And we have heard links there to the Premier League, with a number of clubs keeping tabs on his situation, especially in North London. Arsenal and Tottenham believed to be very closely watching Memphis' situation at the club. But after that Mallorca game, have things just changed? Because now in the Catalan media, we're already hearing talk about possible new contract talks for Memphis Depay. And I think that's why right now, these final games, they're huge for his future. We have got to see him try and replicate that kind of level, continue to pose that kind of threat. Of course, we've got to see him in the team as well. We need to see that he's going to be a part of Xavi's plans. And I think these are 4 matches now where Memphis knows he's got to show his quality. Another player, of course, who is consistently in the headlines, it is none other than Ousmane Dembele, who right now has entered into the final 2 months of his Barcelona contract. That is really now getting down to the very final days. And with that in mind, Barca are going to be meeting with Dembele's agent very soon indeed, with that meeting set to take place in the coming days. And I also think right here, these are still big games for Dembele, because you could imagine that in those negotiations, which are going on constantly behind the scenes, there's been lots of meetings there between the club and Dembele's agent. In those meetings, you can imagine that after every great game Dembele plays, after every time that he shows his quality, his agent is going to be saying, look, that's what you're paying for. That's why we're demanding the big money. That just proves exactly what we want. But of course, that can work both ways as well. Barca will be still looking for Dembele to be consistent, to be showing that quality, to still have that good attitude that he's been showing this season. And that is why certainly in these final games, Dembele now can't let that guard down. He's got to keep working hard, keep putting in those performances, and until the very end of the season, when we will find out whether he's still going to be here in the next. Another player, of course, who we have to talk about in terms of their contract situation, it is Dani Alves. He's the 3rd player right here on the list. He, of course, returned to the club upon the request of Xavi, and he's been available in the squad since January. And I do have to say, Dani Alves, for me, he's brought good experience. He has been a good person to have in and around the club, especially in the dressing room there, especially passing on wisdom and experience to younger players too. And to be fair, we have had to call upon him pretty frequently. Dest has had injury problems, and Dani Alves has made 12 appearances and counting since returning to the club. And I think especially now, with Dest out for the remainder of the season, we're still going to be looking to Alves in these final 4 games. And of course, they're big for him too, because as of right now, we still don't know whether Alves' contract at the club is going to be extended for 1 further season. We know that when he came in, he accepted the bare minimum in terms of wages. Would he do that again next year? Would he expect maybe a bit more of a salary now we're in the position to do it? And of course, on Friday, this week on Friday, he's 39 years old. And I think it all depends on, of course, the performances. That's the thing first and foremost that we will be looking out for. But of course, as well, what Barca's right-back plans are going to be in the summer transfer window. Is anybody going to come in? Are we going to have more and more players in that area? And so what I want to know from you guys is, would you keep Dani Alves on? Another player that we certainly do have to discuss, a sort of different kind of reasons. Let's talk now about Adama Traore, because actually after the game against Mallorca, when he didn't come on for a single minute, he was apparently very, very unhappy. Even after the game there, when the players who didn't play sort of go out on the pitch and go through a few exercises, apparently he really did have to be calmed down. Such was his frustration about those lack of minutes, and I do kind of feel bad for him. You know, I do, to be honest. He came in, he made a big sacrifice on his wages. We appreciate the fact that he wanted to come here and play and help out, and he did have a fantastic start. You know, the game he played on his debut against Atletico Madrid, phenomenal performance from Adama Traore, but since then, he's just fallen away. He's just fallen out of the team. You know, since Dembele came back into the team, you know, of course, the performances that he was putting in, Adama has just sort of been put on the back burner, and it just seems right now like there's no chance whatsoever we're going to pay the 30 million that it would take to make that move permanent. I think already maybe Adama kind of knows that. That's why we're seeing a bit of frustration now. He wanted to make that move. And although I wouldn't completely rule him out staying, because obviously we've still got Trincao walls, maybe something could be done there in terms of some sort of swap or exchange, but we're certainly not going to pay any outright money for Adama Traore. And let's just wait and see now in these final games whether he could do anything that could change our mind. But, undoubtedly, when we come to the fifth player on our list, somebody who simply must be feeling frustration too right now, it is Riqui Puig, because he again did not play a single minute against Mallorca, even despite the injuries to Pedri and Nico in midfield. He still did not make it out on the pitch, which, as you can see right here, makes it 10 games in a row without a minute, without one single minute of football. And again, I do feel bad about that, and I do feel bad for Riqui Puig. You could say, you know, would he have come on in the game against Mallorca if we didn't concede that late goal and suddenly then we were under pressure? Maybe he would have, but I just think in these final games, surely we have to see him for some minutes. He has to get some sort of playing time to try and show what he can do, because again with him, contract expiring 1 year from this summer. And again, a decision will have to be made, just like it has to be with Memphis Depay, because this just can't go on for Riqui. Not just from the club's point of view, but I think mostly from his. You know, he turns 23 in August this summer. He has to be playing football now. He is a good enough player to go elsewhere, to be playing matches, to be playing in the first division, and I just want to see him do that. And I do hope that we do see him in the final games, that he could show some quality, that he could show some ability, which would at least stand him in good stead ahead of the summer. And of course, there are other players too. Like I said, he is not strictly just 5 players, because 2 players that I would also add on to that as well. Number 1, Clement Lenglet. I think he has a lot to do in these final games if he gets opportunities, because he simply hasn't convinced this season. Obviously, under Xavi, he's not got a lot of game time, but I think when he has, you never know what you're going to expect. Sometimes he looks okay, sometimes he looks as though he might be quite solid, but then in other times, he just looks like a mistake waiting to happen. And I think with that in mind, we are certainly going to be looking out for offers this summer for Lenglet, unless he does something to really change that. I think as well for another French centre-back, Samuel Umtiti, because only recently has he returned from another lengthy injury spell there away from the team. But it's going to be interesting to see if he plays any minutes in these final games, not only from our point of view and just seeing what he can do, but I think as well to show other clubs that he can still play football, that he can still be out there on the field contributing, because once again this summer we will be looking and hoping for some offers coming in for Umtiti. And there are players too, like Oscar Mingueza, like Martin Braithwaite, who I feel maybe already their futures have kind of been decided. They've not had the opportunities, they're clearly not in Xavi's plans, and most likely will head out of the exit door this summer. And of course Luke de Jong too, will he pop up with any big goals, any more crucial moments, as his loan spell at the club seems to be coming to an end, and will he return to his parent club Sevilla? And I think at the end of all this, guys, what we've got to say is it's going to be a fascinating period over these games to come. We've got a massive game now on Saturday against Real Betis, and then beyond that we're going to be looking at these players, what they can do, what they can offer, what their future may indeed be at this club, and keep a close eye on each and every one of the players we've discussed today. And what do you think the future holds for each of them? Thank you indeed, guys, as always, for tuning in for the video today. I really do appreciate all of your constant support and all of you guys getting involved with your thoughts in the comments down below. It's great to read them and great to get involved, all of us together. Thank you as always, guys, for watching and for supporting, and I will see you very soon indeed. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.